Your Excellency, the Permanent Representative of France to the United Nations, President of the UN Security Council. Your Excellency, Representative of the Member States of the UN Security Council, colleagues and dear brothers, representatives of Sudan and Ethiopia. I stand here as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Egyptian Republic of Egypt to convey things about the problems of Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Indeed, these are truly tumultuous times. Humanity is being tested by an invisible foe that has robbed us of countless souls, wrought untold economic suffering, and brought life to a standstill across the world. But as we face the scourge of this global pandemic, and as our frailty is laid to bed before us, we are reminded of our common humanity. We are reminded that beyond the multitude of cultures and creeds and the diversity of nations and peoples, we are ultimately a single human family, the welfare of which demands that we look beyond narrow self-interest and promote the bonds of solidarity within our global community. Mr. President, the matter on which I am addressing you today is of the greatest consequence to the Egyptian people, and requires, like our effort to combat this global pandemic, a commitment to uphold the spirit of cooperation and to recognize that no nation is an island unto itself, entire of itself, but part of a community bound by a common destiny. A threat of potentially existential proportions has emerged that could encroach on the single source of livelihood of over 100 million Egyptians, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, a colossal project that Ethiopia has constructed across the Blue Nile, could endanger the security and very survival of an entire nation by imperiling its wellspring of sustenance. While we recognize the importance of this project to the developmental objective of the Ethiopian people, a goal that we share and support, it is essential to realize that this mega dam, which is Africa's largest hydropower facility, potentially threatens the welfare, well-being, and existence of millions of Egyptian and Sudanese citizens. Therefore, filling and operating this dam unilaterally without an agreement that includes preventive measures will increase tension and can trigger crisis and conflict, which further creates stability in the problematic area. Accordingly, it is important that the Security Council consider this matter as the body entrusted by the international community. With the unique responsibility to maintain international peace and security, the Council is expected to exercise watchful vigilance to avert the escalation of tensions, to prevent the outbreak of conflict, and to contain crises that threaten to prejudice the peace in a fragile region. As a responsible stakeholder, Egypt chose to bring this issue to the attention of the Security Council. Mr. President, we in Egypt populate the most arid to the Nile Basin riparian states and one of the most water-impoverished nations on earth. This harsh reality compels us to inhabit no more than 7% of our territory along a slender strip of green and of fertile delta teeming with millions of souls whose annual share of water is no more than 560 cubic meters, which places Egypt well below the international threshold of water scarcity. On the other hand, our brethren in Ethiopia have been endowed by divine providence with plentiful water resources, which includes an average annual rainfall of almost 936 billion cubic meters of water, of which a mere 5% flow into the Blue Nile and 11 other rivers basins, some of which are shared with neighboring states, and all of which provide endless opportunities for regional economic cooperation and integration. This means that if the gorge is filled and operated unilaterally, in the absence of a mutually beneficial agreement that protects the life and livelihood of downstream communities, it can place further stress on an already severely strained hydrological reality and endanger millions of people in both Egypt and Sudan. Mr. President, since Ethiopia unilaterally commenced the construction of this dam, Our negotiations have included numerous trilateral and bilateral summit meetings between the leaders of our three countries. Moreover, in a testament to our enduring commitment to abiding faith in the values of our African continent, we attended and convened several regional bilateral and multilateral summits and meetings with our other African brethren in a bid to facilitate the reaching of an agreement that assures Ethiopia that it will generate hydropower efficiently and sustainably, while limiting and minimizing the adverse effect and preventing the significant harm of this dam on downstream states. Mr. President, as construction of the GERD nears completion and as every other path towards an agreement proved unsuccessful, Egypt calls upon our partner in the United States of America and the World Bank to join our talks in an attempt to bridge the gap between our three countries. It is Egypt's belief that an agreement on the GERD must be a legally binding instrument under international law that must also include clear definitions that establish the threshold of significant harm that must be prevented, in addition to binding dispute resolution mechanisms to ensure the effective implementation of this agreement. While we continue to extend an unfailing hand of friendship to our brethren, we expect our kinsmen with whom we share the Nile River to reciprocate our good will and to act with responsibility. Much as we wholeheartedly support Ethiopia's right to development, including through the use of our shared water resources, we believe that justice dictates that Ethiopia respect Egypt's right to life. In conclusion, Mr. President, I must reiterate that we stand ready to exert every effort to reach an agreement on the GERD. I call on my friends and colleagues in Ethiopia and Sudan to summon the spirit of brotherhood and kinship between our countries and peoples. Let us grasp the opportunity that is before us to shape our faith, rewrite history, and chart a new course of peace and prosperity for our people. I thank you, Mr. President.